Shop and pay orders. It's either you love them or you hate them. But either way, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about them. Last week on the Dash with Ash, I talked to you lovelies about app improvements and what these apps could be doing better to improve themselves. Sadly enough, Shop and Pay did not make it to the list, but that doesn't mean that we can't talk about them. So for those that are unaware about what I'm talking about when it comes to Shop and Pay orders, essentially Shop and Pay is exactly what it sounds like. I get paid to go shopping for my customer. So if you ask a lot of gig workers if they like Shop and Pay orders, honestly, I feel like I get a 50-50 ratio. When it comes to Shop and Pay orders, not only are they super time consuming, depending if you know the store or not, but additionally, sometimes they're not even worth taking. There has been 2 companies I have done Shop and Pay orders for. In the past, I've worked for Instacart and did Shop and Pay orders for them. And now currently, if I do a Shop and Pay order, it's for Uber Eats. When it comes to grocery deliveries, I highly believe that Uber wins over Instacart any day of the week. And the reason why I say that Uber wins is because their fees are much cheaper, but their pays are much higher. And batch availability is a lot more smoother with Uber Eats because if you're not getting a batch for grocery orders, at least you're in sync alignment to get a food delivery order. Now, my opinion on Shop and Pay orders is it's a hit and miss with me, just like it is with many other drivers. Do I do Shop and Pay orders often? No, and if I actually go onto my Uber Eats application right now, I have it toggled off to not send me Shop and Pay orders. And that's because I've been working the evenings a lot more, and with evenings, I prefer to go for a dinner time rush hour versus head over to a grocery store and do some shopping. But that does not mean that there's not some good Shop and Pay orders at dinner time. Now, I'm not saying I don't toggle back on Shop and Pay orders. If I'm going to toggle it back on, it's going to be any time before 12 in the afternoon so that I can secure some orders before the lunchtime rush hour. Then I am more likely to turn it off when it comes to lunchtime rush hour and enable it back on after about 1:30 p.m. This way, when it comes to the downtime hours, I can secure a Shop and Pay order because either way, I much rather make money when the orders are low versus make nothing at all. So the time that I'm going to turn on Shop and Pay is definitely the in-between hours. Now, here's the ultimate question. Does Shop and Pay orders pay more than food delivery orders? If you ask me, which obviously, if you're listening to my podcast, you're waiting for the answer, but for me, it can vary. The highest tip I've ever made from doing food deliveries was a $29 tip, but the highest I've ever received from a grocery order was a $46 tip. Now, the difference is how long did each one of these orders take? Well, the $29 tip order was a sushi order that took 30 minutes of my time. And the $46 tip was because of a Costco order that took 45 minutes of my time. Now, it doesn't matter which one we look at. Each one of these provided me $1 per minute regardless of my time spent. But if I have to rule it out to which one was better, of course, in this case scenario, it's going to go to the Costco order because for 15 minutes, what are the odds that if I would have worked 15 minutes more on a food delivery service, that I would have made the $15 more? My odds are against me in that position. But also, to get a $46 tip when it comes to doing grocery deliveries is extremely rare. Now, here's what I will say. If you're listening to this podcast from my YouTube channel, then you should just comment below and tell me which one you prefer. Do you prefer food deliveries for tips, or do you prefer grocery orders for tips? There's no wrong answer in the matter, but for myself, I'm always going to go with food delivery services because I want the easiest way to make my money. And yes, that makes me sound extremely lazy. But the complications that I have faced doing grocery orders over food delivery is far and in between. The first issue that I've had with grocery orders compared to food delivery orders is an exchange process. And for those that don't know what I mean, if what you are ordering in groceries is not there at the store, I have to get an exchange from you. And sometimes you're not near your phone, which is perfectly understandable. But if you're not near your phone and I need to exchange something, and you have put a tip based on the percentage value of your order, then I'm definitely going to do my best to make an exchange. But am I going to take 20 minutes of my time to wait for an answer for an exchange? No. But does it sometimes take that amount of time? Oh yeah, and a lot longer. Typically, what I do is if there's not a preset exchange like there used to be on Instacart when I used to deliver with them, when it comes to doing Uber Eats Shop and Pay orders, often I will simply just refund. But the disadvantage of refunding is like I mentioned. If you're doing a percentage-based tip that is based on the percentage value of the order, by me refunding something, I just got a whole lot less money. Because even though the tip percentage will go down, the base rate or the base fare from Uber, for example, will not increase, making grocery deliveries a lot more of a struggle for me. If you do grocery deliveries and all of a sudden you start experiencing some sciatic nerve pain, I will make you 100% bet it's because of doing grocery orders. One of the biggest struggles that I face with grocery deliveries is there is no weight limitation. And so when I'm out doing groceries, first of all, I can accept the order. But second of all, I'm not going to see what's in that order until I start lurking around in the order to see it after I've accepted it. So because of that, for example, the other day I was going to do a $20 shop and pay order, and it was for 6 items. Now, the problem is that the 6 items has units involved. So let's say oranges. My item is an orange, but I want 6 oranges. So that means it's 6 units of oranges. So if you're following along with me, you get where I'm going here. So this shop and pay has 6 items, 14 units. But out of the 14 units, this customer wanted me to get 6 times 4-liter bottles of water. Let me repeat that again. 6 times 4-liter bottles of water. That's not the 2-liter Coca-Cola that you pick up off the grocery store. It's double that of 1 bottle, and it's 6 times? You can imagine how quickly I went in and I canceled that shop and pay order. My 4-liter bottle experience is nothing compared to the stacked on cases of water, soda, Gatorade, you name it, from Costco that many delivery drivers have to go and get. And the problem with that is if your sciatic nerve is not intact, you will totally feel that afterwards. That's why they use the expression, bend with the knees and not with your back. Now, let's say, for example, you're fine with the heavy lifting and you're also fine with the exchange and refund procedure that you're going to go through. The next thing that you have to consider is the price of that offer. And you will be surprised how many people will take cheap offers that are going to break their back and have a lot of exchanges and still complete it. Me, if I'm midway in a store and I see that too much is going on, there's no communication, it's way too heavy, and the price was not even that good to begin with, I'm canceling it. But a lot of the lovelies that I know going around doing gig work go through with those orders and then they quit doing gig work later. Because the price, often, with a lot of these grocery deliveries, are not worth it. And that's not because the customer is not tipping decently. It's because these companies aren't paying us enough to go through and commit to these orders. So we're getting delivery drivers that are essentially not making a lot of money, but are also in a lot of pain afterwards and have consumed too much time doing it. Shop and pay grocery orders are a very new thing, regardless if they've been in a driver's area for a year, 2, or 3, because many new customers are only experiencing this benefit now. So the only thing that I can see is shop and pay orders are gonna be on the increase. Eventually, nobody's gonna go out and get their groceries, they're gonna have it handed to them. But when it comes to shop and pay orders, know your actual price and make sure it's right for you. When it comes to shop and pay orders, nobody should be doing orders that they don't want to do. You should not be doing an order that's really going to hurt you. And you're not supposed to be accepting very little for your time. Shop and pay orders can be super beneficial. If it's a cold day and you want to go inside and keep warm, go for a shop and pay order. If you have time in your hands and you don't mind going around in the store, go do a shop and pay order. If you got a few pounds to lose and you want to do some cardio, go do a shop and pay order. But just keep in mind, it's about you before it becomes anything else. Next week on The Dash with Ash, I'm going to be talking to you lovelies about customer satisfaction and how much that has dramatically changed in the past years. I'll catch you lovelies on the next episode.